Welcome to Dreamy Dreamland with Sensie Owl Bob. Just reading the Bible here. Corrupt rulers persist. The proud garland of the drunken of Ephraim, and the fading flowers of its glorious beauty, which is on the head of those bloated with rich food and those overcome with wine. See, the Lord has one who is mighty and strong, like the storm of hail, destroying tempests, like the storm of the mighty overflowing waters. With his hand he will hurl them down to earth, trample under the foot, and be the proud garland of the drunkards of the Ephraim, and the fading flowers of its glorious beauty. So here is an interesting young lad.
And you cannot stop the light that is starting to occur. And that's what all these things I want to talk about today. Everything I speak to you about today comes in these calculated waves, you might say, of energy that are not unexpected. And I'm going to give you a sample of that. 1999. I told my partner to prepare a new book, a book that would be published as a bestseller, and it would not be a cry-on book. It would be about something that was happening on the planet regarding the children. A new kind of child was being born on the planet slowly, but more and more of them were arriving. And they were called indigo children. Indigo was not the essence of any chakra. It was the color seen by a woman named Nancy Tappy, of individuals. And she taught this distinctly. And I told my partner then to expose what she had seen. A new color was arriving on the planet, and the new color, which was represented in the newborns and then in the smaller children, was indigo. This was the way up.
So this guy's named Cryon, and he's been around a long time, about 35, 40 years. And I remember seeing him in New York City before I left. And that period of the 70s and 80s, there was a resurgence of the esoteria in New York City. I was part of that, and it was interesting. And that was one of the things that led me to leave New York and go to Cornell, where I found myself in a community called Wisdom's Goldenrod. The guy wrote Wisdom, the Overself. His name's Robert Burton, I think, or Burton is his last name. Pretty sure it's Robert. Anyway, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. Welcome to Dreamy Dreamland with Sensie Owl Bob. That's me. You're Griot here to tell you a story. And we're live, and we are ready to go live chat. And we've been here 4 minutes and almost 44 seconds, and I'll keep going for a while. There's one of you there. And I'd like to see if any of you have experienced anything, right? Do you understand what the indigo experience is? You know, the new human. Have you met any? Are you one of them? can you speak to the changes? I mean, everyone can be scared by what's going on around us, but as Tryon was trying to say, that these are the changing times. And so sometimes for a change to happen, you need a something like a 2x4 hit you in the head. So it's pretty obvious that what's the war in Ukraine and the war in the Gaza Strip and all around Israel is not the usual same old same, right? Because Israel was right on the edge of having everything it wanted, and if it hadn't responded, meaning, Hamas, did their invasion, and if they had just said, wow, okay, we get it, we're listening, right? And worked out to beat, the two-state system ain't gonna work, but they could be a joint country, right? Israel, that's not just Jewish, but it's Palestinian, because the Jewish people are Palestinians. And the Palestinians that are in the Gaza Strip, they're not just Muslim, they're Christian. More, almost a third, if not more, are Christian. So all those Christians who are Messianic, wanting to end times come, basically, your tax dollars are killing Christians. Right? So it's a very, extraordinary situation. The same thing with Ukraine and Russia. Russia's killing Russians. Ukrainians are kind of Russians. And they have more in common than they do. But by killing each other on the level that they have and in the way they have, they're going to cause, just look what happened to the Armenians in Turkey, right? They haven't really even, after 100 years plus, they haven't dealt with the forgiveness or the trauma, right? So everyone's experiencing trauma, extraordinary trauma. In the United States, extraordinary trauma, right? Richest country in the world, more than almost half of the people live in poverty, right? There's such a discrepancy of wealth, it's, historical. And people don't seem to even think that's bad, right? Or it's a question, it's a whatever, it's pretty much, you gotta be kidding me. So what do you think, right? I do these shows for you to respond, right? Earlier today, I had, an explosion of people watching the show, but no one commented, right? So, and I had to go and do things. So here we are. There's one person there. It's live. We're in it for 8 minutes and 12 seconds. So let's see some more likes. Tomorrow, I don't know if I will go out and about. I may or may not. I'm not quite sure. But I want to know how you feel about things. What's going on, right? In your heart, not your head, but your heart. That cottage cheese between your ears is just that, right? So what are you going to do with that? So let's see you step up, right? So. So I had a whole bunch of things that I recorded that I wanted to play, but we'll just play more of this.
The book became very popular because so many adults who were having their children were seeing that in their kids. The kids were not smarter, they were wiser. They were all old souls that were being born back then, so that now they would be in a prominent spot. A place where they could change the earth because they think differently.
If your internet connection is weak, don't do this. This is a fire hazard. Now an alternative safe internet enhancer exists.
They were a handful. That was the time of ADD and ADHD when there never was anything like that before. Almost like a disease had popped up because they were here. It wasn't a disease at all. was a cultural reaction to a new kind of consciousness that stood its ground and did not accept the narrative and was preparing for the shift. In the United States, there's a political election happening. Oh my goodness. Are you surprised with any of it? So many Americans would say nothing surprises us anymore. And it's gone through the gyrations and all of these things. And I will give you some information you may not agree with. It's not going to matter who wins, because the result will be the same as the last decades, dear ones. The result will be this. No matter who wins this election, you will have two parties that don't get along, that despise each other, and will spend the next 4 years fighting, and very little time helping the citizens of America. Let me ask you something, American. How does it feel to know that that is the way of it? Now, you may disagree. Your party may do this or do that. We'll see. But there's more energy fighting the opposition than helping the country. So I'll ask you, young people in America, how do you like it so far? The older, well, they're used to it. Do you think that is the way it's supposed to be? Stand by for a wild card coming. Not soon, but coming. And I will say this to you, it is time to change the entire way you have seen politics work in America. And the only way this will be accomplished is with the Indigos. The candidates that you are selecting now for president are not Indigos, dear ones. They represent the old energy of this planet. They were raised in the narrative of this is the way it works, and you get to watch it. Do you like it? I'll use the word hiding or lurking. Within the Congress of the United States are young statesmen of both genders who are ready to take the gauntlet and say there should be younger leadership for a younger nation. And this slowly will be seen by the population, that there should be those far younger, 20, 30 years younger, full of vigor and life and ideas. And one of them will be this one: to respect each other and disagree. It's coming. And it may be shocking, but it's coming. That's what I wanted to tell you about your election. It isn't going to matter. This is so important, I've asked my partner to have a reawakening of the Indigo Children subject and create an Indigo discussion, or perhaps a program, maybe even a song, where that is now reframed in a way that everyone could understand that the Indigo Children are no longer children. They are the old souls that are younger on this planet, that are coming forward to make a difference in so many areas.
So that's Cryon, right? And that has been a message he's been giving for 30 years or so, and other people too. You know, Edgar Casey talked about it. Lots of people who, understood what's going on. And most people are stuck in the old power ways, right? In the old fear ways. And the old, I'm just going to stick my head in the sand. I'm going to be wearing this hat. From now until and through the election. And I've been getting interesting regards, and people kind of reach out because they want connection. They want understanding. And it's up to you, right? That's why I want you to, I keep hitting the live chat button, right? No one's saying anything. There's 3 of you there. So in your neighborhood, have potluck dinners, have clubs, read books, do things together. Start questioning what's going on. Don't just accept it, And that's the sad thing in the Mideast and in Ukraine and Russia. People are just accepting it. Now, they were getting to a point where they don't want to accept it anymore. They don't know how to get out of the box. But, in Israel, it's a country of 6 million people, and 1 million have left already because they don't want to fight this war, right? And the people who left were the smart ones, the ones who were the inventors and the entrepreneurs, and it's basically crushed the economy of Israel. If America wasn't dropping in $1 billion every month, they'd forget about it. And so that's kind of what's going on, and they aren't the, great power that they have led themselves to believe. And they're starting to see that. They haven't won in Gaza, and they haven't won in Beirut, and they want to go toe-to-toe with Iran. It's not going to be pretty. So, and America's going to be drawn in, because it's going to be good for a certain group of people who make money at it. But, if there's an all-out conflagration between Israel and Iran, and the United States steps in because we have close to 200,000 people there, out there in aircraft carriers and the destroyers and the submarines, and we have about 50, 60,000 people, boots on the ground in places like Iraq and Syria and surrounding areas that are very vulnerable. So if it really lets go, if Israel really, Iran is smart, it won't do anything. It won't do anything until after the election. It'll force Israel to attack them again. And they have shown that their air superiority is good enough to protect them, right? So it'll be interesting. That's all I can say. It'll be interesting. So, but I want to hear from you guys. So leave comments on these shows, right? And how about some likes? And how about you loving yourself, right? You loving the people in your life. You stepping up into the opportunity that's right in front of us. We're right between now and 2030. There's, you think this is weird? Ooh, it's going to get worse. But we don't have to go the messianic way of end times, because there won't be any end times. It'll just be a bad time, like a dark ages. That's what happened the last time the Romans tried this. We had 900 years of the dark ages. You want that? Think that's going to be fun? I don't think so. So you can, pray and meditate and bring God's vibration into yourself and higher yourself, the frequency, stop watching television. You don't have to do what I did. I gave away everything I had, went from being a pretty well-to-do middle-class itinerant scholar to letting everything go, right? Living. Right, and now this incident happened. Now I'm even more isolated. Instead of taking, there was a nice place that was like 15 minutes down the road that I could get a nice breakfast. I could afford it. They had nice internet, but that place got wiped away. Right, that whole corner of the universe is gone. Right, now I have to drive, hour and 10 minutes around all the way around the lake to get to this place, right? And then I had to drive another 40 minutes to get to Johnson City. So instead of taking 40 minutes to get to Johnson, it almost takes 2 hours. So that isolates me, right? And, so I had this refrigerator, and, Bigfoot came in and basically turned it on its head and leaned it. So it's right on the corner. It's just like this, right? And I can't flip it all the way all by myself. So it's interesting. I said, okay, you put this thing here, you flip it around, right? You take care of it, right? So it's a very interesting time, right? Things are right in our face, and yet here we are, 20 minutes and 44 seconds into this show, and where are you guys? Let's hear something from you, right? What do you think about this time? The wars all around us, the economic collapse of the United States. We had the '08 collapse, and we didn't do anything except print more money. We put ourselves deeper into a box, right? So what are you going to do, So it's I'm looking for you to speak up, let's hear you. I want to know what you think. Here it is, 21 minutes and 21 seconds. So we are surrounded by synchronicity. We're surrounded by, meaning every morning I wake up dead, right? And I barely can breathe. I can barely see. I can barely move. And I close my eyes, and I bring the frequency of love's co-creation into my heart, right? And it starts things up. I can open my eyes and see. I can see. I can breathe. I do my leg lifts and my toe curls, and that's kind of gets the prana moving in my body along with my breath. And I get up and I go outside and I do my tai chi and my qigong, and that's what keeps me alive. Love's co-creation is what it is, right? So what are you going to do about this in your life, right? Are you going to be like this? Let's see.
The blockage of humanitarian aid, the sealing off of northern Gaza, the mass starvation, the obliteration of Gaza's infrastructure, the looming assault on Rafah, and the upsurge in violence and land seizures in the West Bank. Israel has allowed droughts and wildfires and support sewage. Israel's killed at least 32 Palestinians from historic Palestine. 43 children have been hurt when a minivan they ran. Class per teacher is going to be 60 kids for one teacher. With Drew Browse, the signing comes a year after a deadly shooting at a private elementary school in Nashville. Opponents were very loud. Governor Lee initially asked lawmakers to keep guns away from people deemed a danger to themselves and others in response to the shooting. Republican lawmakers like Ryan Williams ignored the request. What you're doing is you're creating a deterrent. According to the statute, which becomes effective immediately, parents and other teachers will be barred from knowing who is armed at their schools. I'm Ed Donahue. Correspondent Rita Foley reports that consumer prices just keep going up. Prices rose 0.3% from February to March.
So that was April 24. May, June, July, August, September, October. So 6 months ago. Things somewhat changed, but not really.
I did my best, which gives... Well, she's not my wife. No, but I'm saying that's the kind of people, that's how I help people. She would have been dead. No one was taking care of her. She was in a cardboard box about 6 years old. I could have walked by her. Everybody else was. I said, honey, where's your parents? She goes, oh, my mommy just died, and my daddy's dead, and I have no family. I said, okay, I'll take care of you. And I never let her down. Never. So, well,
Just like I've never let you down. Most people would everyone says, why do you even talk to that guy? He's such an asshole. Because that's all you talk about. You talk about virtually everything you say is about an asshole. Okay? And not the pejorative subject matter, but your physical asshole, Yeah, of course you do. You do it all the time. What is the last book you've read? Like the video did playing the drums, right? And the guitar. That was very cute. That was very sweet. That was very pejorative of Jesus, praise, we easily say praise God, praise Jesus. That's nice. But what are you doing to actually praise God and praise Jesus?
Well, suffering kind of like Jesus.
Really?
Yeah.
Isn't that a sin right there to say that?
No, you know what happened to me?
How many months ago was that?
They hurt my wrist and see, they handcuffed me too tight. And I was afraid my hands would be amputated, and they're a big police force that they may be kind of corrupt.
Every police force is kind of corrupt, John. There is no honest police force.
No, and they have too tight. I thought it made you permanent damage and like disfigure me.
If they were too tight on you, just think what they do to people who aren't white, who have money. I mean,
they kill them.
Yes, and worse.
They can kill them if they feel like it. They don't need a reason. They don't even need a reason.
They don't even need a reason. Yep.
Yeah, but that's not how they all are. Many of them.
Well, I mean, bottom line, buddy, is no group is all like any one thing. I have a lot of friends who are policemen, right? And I have a lot of friends who are like your grandfather, high on the strip of the police. But in the bottom line, the history of policing has always been to protect the rich people's needs. Not those, they're not there to serve and protect the general public. The general public has always been expendable. And you experienced it. You just described it. How they handcuffed in your back and you thought you were going to lose your hands. They weren't thinking about your well-being.
Yes. You know what they did to my hands? I cried out like Jesus on the cross, like a Roman had hurt me really bad, like kicked me or something like that. And it was just like, it was a sound that Jesus would made or something like that. Like I felt with all my heart and cried out. And then the officer who had handcuffed me too tight realized, and that's when he loosened the handcuffs, that it was kind of, it wasn't too late, it didn't do permanent damage, but my hands were numb constantly for 4 weeks.
So that was when? In February?
That was in December, I think, and then I made it back here safely away from them, and I thought everything was okay, and guess what happened here? The police, I took too much medicine and had to go to the hospital, because I misjudged I took 6 pills instead of 2, so I had to go to the hospital, and all they did was give me fluids and keep me on a bed in the hallway all night, and I thought I'd get to go home. I was okay in the morning because I slept a little and I felt okay, and they had a police officer waiting for me, and he handcuffed me again and put me in the back of a cop car, and I almost cried, telling him to please don't make them too tight, and it was right after the one happened in Los Angeles.
Where'd they take you?
And they brought me to one of those mental rehab facilities to make sure I was okay. On the right dose of medicine, I had to stay there for a week, and I had to talk to a judge to be even allowed to go home.
Well, that's called the law.
Yeah, and that was the 4th time I was in one of those places. And another time they kept me in one of those places for 3.5 weeks. And I was so traumatized for after it that I was jumpy and twitchy, and there's almost...
So, John is, as I constantly say, he's the canary in the spiritual coal mine. And he goes on, but you don't need to hear that anymore because it's the same, It's about me, what they did to me, all the rest, right? He doesn't understand about the we and me, meaning, no, they were doing that to him, they were doing it to us all, right? And that is the thing, that we have, another, here it is, 2024, 2030 is in 6 years. So 6 years from now, unless we really, because, this election won't matter. Whether the girl wins or Carrot Head does, it doesn't, because they both will be arguing, even if Carrot Head let's say, wins the Congress and the Senate and he's president, nothing will happen. Right? It'll be the same old same. And, everyone will blame everyone else. And no one will step up to do the right thing. No one will be their best because they're being paid by an external force to basically destroy America, right? And in a very subtle kind of way, right? These wars that are all going on, they were taking, we were just paid for what Israel has done for the last year and a month, right? And basically, we're as responsible. And so is Europe. The whole Western neocon world has basically let this happen. Same with what's going on in Ukraine. We more than let it happen, we allowed it to happen. More than allowed it happen, we were, facilitating it to happen. All that death and destruction, right? And the only good that's coming out of this is that people are being brought awake, not woke, but awake, right? And what are they going to do with the understanding that's going on in their life? Are they going to ignore it, right? If they do, they only got 6 years to get their act together, right? And they have to pray, and not in a ceremonial way, not in a religious way. I read the Bible every day, and it is my tuning fork, The frequencies that heal me are in that book. I read it, and I vibrate to that 240 frequency, that 560. It's in our hands. All the knowledge is here. We have these smartphones that can tell us whatever we need to know. I used to have to go to libraries and spend hours and hours, which was not bad. I enjoyed that. I enjoyed my Carol, right? And, I'm pushing 75, and every minute of my life, even though many of them were trying and John goes about how he suffers, really. I was a really, really, really sick kid, and I'm still a really, really sick kid. And yet, I've lived through it and learned from all those experiences, And the thing I've learned is that the most important thing is that I am here for others. I am part of the we and me, all our relations, all of love's co-creation. That's what it is. And other people, my students, pick up this, and they, weave their own little tapestry of what love's co-creation is, and that's great. I am not a liturgy. You don't have to, follow whatever I say, right? I'm just here to tell you a story. I'm just your griot, right? And hi there. So have you been listening, KM? So what do you think of, how many years have you been on this planet, and what have you experienced, and what do you think about what's going on right now? Because when I was, a young boy, we had the Korean War going on, right? And that was terrible. That, many, many young Americans came back and shell-shocked and missing limbs and on drugs, right? And my father was in World War II, and he was traumatized by that. And I was surrounded by men who were destroyed by their experience of war. No one goes off to war and comes back positively changed, right? They are all broken. Now, how they deal with being broken, that's the interesting thing. That's the opportunity, right? So right now, all of this unbelievable chaos and suffering is occurring, but it is a great opportunity. Right here, we just had the event, it washed out all the towns around me and killed thousands of people. I mean, they're not there. Where are they? We haven't found their bodies, but no one wants to talk about it, and definitely the powers that be don't want to talk about it. They call it, disinformation. But there are a lot of people missing. Lots of people's homes not even broken; they're gone, and those properties have been declared. You can't live here, and so those people who owned it, the property couldn't be taken away from them. It was declared, they can't live there. And then the corporations who want to build condos there bought it at auction, right? And so just this whole area is just going to be like one big ant farm, right? So that's kind of what it is. And but this area is quite paranormal. Ding! See, what is Johnny's audio messages?
See, I'll knock you out. Can I be your friend? You found me in the rubbish. They found me in the ruggage. Can I live at your house? Let me stay at John's, okay? Ooh, it's me, man. Come on, man. Let me stay at your house, okay?
He was questioning me about the catastrophe here, and I said I didn't want to talk about it because it's too intimate of people suffering. But he was like really almost sexually excited by the death and destruction. He just wanted to know names and people and all the rest. And I said, no, I'm not going to do that, right? What I wanted to talk about was how people stepped up and helped their neighbors. And I mean, the government didn't, but they did. And that's why it's not a total catastrophe, right? And so it's what it is. So what are you going to do, That was John Boy, right? And that was, he's another audio message. So anyway, there's one thumbs up. That's nice. So, Mac, back to you. You're the only person who has, said hi there. So, can we take it past hi there? Can we talk about how you feel about the world around you? What is your world around you? Where is your world? What are you experiencing? Are you young enough to be a indigo child? Do you understand the difference that's going on around us? Or are you a damaged goods? Right? Well, I'm gonna see if Mac comments. If not, I'm going to, I gotta get going. We're at to 7 people. So how about some more likes, come on, and some comments. And take a look at the last 6 shows that I put up in the last couple of days. And put some comments on them, right? Comment on what you think, open your heart. Let the cadre be expanded by your experience, Let's hear it, So Mac, you still there? When it hits 40-40, I'm gonna split if the conversation does not expand. Yeah, no, Mac's the only one who said anything, so And let it. There you go. 40. 1, 2, 3, 4. So, you be well now. Remember to pray. Let God's co-creation enter your heart and vibrate you at the healing frequency. How about some more likes? And how about some more comments after the show? I go up the air. Here it is, 32 seconds. I'm waiting for 40. Okay, here you go.